specific style because the hideout I believe they still have the 3 first show that is like any 3 troops come and just do your thing. That was happening back then too. That was the only I don't know how much someone else, a hideout historian, would know this better than I.
It's okay, we had Roy Janik tell us the hideout history.
But at the time, I think Roy was like in classes at the time here. But we had opportunities at the hideout, but we were also like, we could not be satisfied. We were too hungry, you know. And so that's why we ended up opening up the space, and then the other aspects all just started the snowball too. Or it was like okay, well, we should do classes to fill in this space. We should do, you know, and then cut to a year or two later, and it was like we were rocking and rolling, and we had the space, and we were doing 7 or 8 shows a week. We were, and now Austin had 2 spaces. Yeah.
Just sort of the beginning of the boom that's happened here in Austin for sure.
Yeah.
It's so wild. It's funny, to go back to what you were saying about the Chicago style, people still ask me about that all the time. Like, they'll go, oh, you guys are Chicago style. And I go, it's like, I guess, sort of. I was like, yeah, in the idea that it's long form, but I'm pretty sure what we're doing is not what they're doing in Chicago at this point.
Well, also, another take on that, I think that a lot of people still use Chicago style, and I'm saying this I'm saying this with, like, a respect in my heart for people doing the thing, but also, like, it is the competitive side of me coming out a little bit, too. But I think a lot of people have opened up improv theaters all over this country based solely off of their experience as a student in Chicago, and then they moved back home to do their version, carbon copy of what they did there. That's why a lot of theaters just kind of blindly do the Herald. And I say that, I don't mean that as an insult, because the Herald is like a really fun form.
It's a very solid,
and it's famous for a reason. You know, many uber successful writers and performers like consider that to be their Bible. So not throwing shade on the Herald format at all, but there are a lot of theaters around this country that are like, we teach the Herald. It's like, I wonder why. Because you went to Improv Olympic or UCB, and then you moved home, and you are doing exactly what you did there. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people are like, oh, Chicago style. So you teach the Herald, and it's like, and so at the New Movement, that when we first opened up the New Movement, that was a very big thing for us. We were like, let's not make everyone learn the Herald. Let's have the Herald be an elective down the line. Only because that's what we wanted to pivot and do something different.
Yeah.
Not because we don't love the Herald. I mean, I'm in town right now because we're doing our first ever Forum Festival, which is all about the Herald.
Right.
You know, so I'm super into Del Close and the Herald and all that stuff. No weirdness there at all.
Oh,
but it was very important to us to not have the Herald be our home structure form because I mean, you can pop up Google right now, type in like mid-sized city in improv theater, go to their about page, and I'm willing to bet that 75% of those things say we teach the Herald of improv format created by whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of the thing behind the Chicago style. Like a lot of times, I mean, as you know, since you used to run the conservatory here in Austin, when people will call or email, ask us questions, a lot of times people assume that they're like, oh, I have experience. I'm not going to take improv classes here because I already did the Herald. It's like, we don't. But you take our classes, we don't teach the Herald.
It's a different kind of thing.
It's a different kind of thing.
But I think that speaks to what you were saying earlier about your like hunger as an artist to like find something, you learn something, and then you find a way to make it your own. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just you're like, okay, great, and now I know this. This seems cool. But how do I find a way to express it in a way that is my own specific thing? And interestingly, like from my point of view, because like I learned improv from you, so it's like when I found out about the Herald later, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a thing. But it was like I had this groundwork of all this other knowledge that even now when I teach level 1, I'll talk about like I actually say this all the time. I go, we do improv without a net. And they're like, what does that mean? I go, well, we don't take a suggestion, so you can do whatever you want. the net is the suggestion. You're like forced to stay within that situation.
Yeah.
This one is like, we trust you. We know you're going to be great, and we want to give you that confidence from day one that you can do it. So that's what you're going to do. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, you're all great. Don't worry. This is going to be wonderful.
Yeah. I too started, at the New Movement. So now going and doing some other stuff where they take suggestions is strange to me, because it's just like, oh, okay, well, this is easy, because at the New Movement, when I first started, it was just like, I can pick anything from my brain and do it, there's a lot of things in my brain, man, and so once you start getting that, and you're like, I got that, you start getting all right at that, and you're just, you're going out there fearlessly, and now it's like, here's a suggestion, it's like, all right, cool, great, done, I can do this, no problem.
And that was part of the idea to cut back to that story I was telling before, and to cut past some bad stuff. When things at Coal Town fell apart for all of us, when Tammy and I when we were like, well, we're going to open up another theater. Well, actually, the question was, do we open up another theater because we were no longer affiliated with this one, or do we move back to New Orleans, or do we move somewhere else entirely? There's a lot of things on the table. In many ways, it was the sequel to what had happened to us after the storm, where it was like, we have all these options now. Like, what are we going to do? Which one's it going to be? And we decided to stay in Austin. It was, well, we're not going to do this unless it will truly be something different. So what are the things that we enjoy, but the way that we do improv, that we think we can create a culture around? Maybe let's take a shot at this. And when her and I were doing 2-person improv shows for a few years, and we never took suggestions, which was inspired by TJ and Dave, who are the improv duo in Chicago, who never took suggestions. And when you really think about why they never took suggestions, it's like, because they didn't need to, because they had all these experiences and they can just go inside of each other and explore from there. And everyone kind of held them to this god status in improv, which I'm down with, by the way. That's not an insult. Everyone held them up on this pedestal, and it was like, I did as well, and so I was like, well, let's do that like them. Let's do this the way they did it. And also, the more we thought about it, the more it was like, you know what? If you read an improv book, if you read an old improv book, they will tell you the reason why you take a suggestion is to prove that it's made up. Right. So that it has kind of evolved over the years to we use a suggestion to inspire what we're doing, which I feel you. I'm not hating on you if you need that if that's the way that you are doing it. Sure. But for us, it was like, what if there was an entire theater that did it this way, as part tribute to TJ and Tave, also as part proof that you don't need to prove that it's improvised, also as a way to just do it differently. And so we gave it a shot, and then cut to 6 months later, and it was like, holy shit! This is pure as hell. This is great. We were watching. We would have, I don't remember who it was, but we had a teacher come in from Chicago. I think it was Jeff Griggs. Jeff Griggs, I really love Jeff Griggs. He wrote a great book about Del Close called Guru. Jeff Griggs came down. I think he was one of our first teachers that we had brought down to T&M. He was like, I can't believe y'all don't take suggestions. That terrifies me, and I can't believe I just taught a workshop with people who've been doing improv for 3 months who didn't take a single suggestion. And it was just like, and that was like, yes, that's it. We got it. That's what we're going to keep doing, and it felt really fucking good. And it also, I think that we are also interested in advancing the art form in ways that. We're interested in innovating whenever possible, even if we're wrong 99 times. If we're right the 100th time, it's like I'll take those odds when it comes to art and trying something new. Mm-hmm. And I just love the idea that this is an entire theater that doesn't take a suggestion because that's the way it's always been done. Which, by the way, is my least favorite reason for doing anything, is because that's the way it's always been done. If you ever, Patrick, pitch an idea at the theater, if you're like, well, why don't we blank? And if I were to say, well, because we've always done it blank. then call me out for it, because it's like I have to have a better reason than that.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be like an actual reason, not just because that's the way it's always been done.
I'd probably do it anyways then. If that was the reason you gave me. Like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So. One of the first shows I saw at the New Moon was the Opposite show. It was Opposites, and I think I'd just done level 0 and just was like, I'll go watch something. And so I didn't know about No Suggestion yet or anything, and I saw it and I was just like, are they seriously improvising? And I remember like the magic moment where everything was coming together for them, and just as an audience member just being like, they're actually like, this is too perfect for it to be improvised, because the improv I'd seen was, short form, it wasn't long form stuff. And so that was a moment like I got sold. It was just like watching their show and it's like, I'm in. Like, they just told a perfect story on stage with 2 people, no suggestion, and it worked brilliantly.
Yeah, Mark Carpenter, Patrick Nicely,
they are
legendary.
Yeah,
totally.
super good dudes, and yeah, to jump off that, some stuff I've heard is like, well, if people don't believe that it's made up, it's like I don't care.
It's really your problem.
I really do not care. I so don't care, and I love that I don't care. Like, if you really think that we, as this community, are creating between the 2 cities like 35 new shows a week, that's more than like a TV studio. Like if you think we're creating 35 brand new shows a week, then I'm throwing a party for us.
Iris' writers at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
you think we're that good.
So I don't really care, which is why. I know that we have evolved. We, as the New Movement, have evolved in many ways over the years. I hope that we continue to evolve. I know that some shows now do explain that, like, we are improvising this show, and that doesn't bother me. But I do. I am a little bit romantic in some ways, where it's like, yo, I don't care if they think it's improvised or not. Like, that's why a lot of times, like when Tammy and I do a show, it's like I'll say, thanks for being here. Like, that's Tammy. She says, that's Chris. I'm like, we're going to do a comedy show for you, and we're going to do it when the lights come up. And the lights drop down. And it's like, if y'all think that we are acting out a one-act play right now, then hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I have a personal question for you. I kind of just, it's always, how did you get into doing True Plus 2? Like, how did you start doing improv with 2 people who've never done improv before and making that
I love
work?
that show.
Yeah, so okay.
It's mind-blowing to me. Just all the work you have to do to make them look so great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the sweet words. So for those who don't know, True Plus 2 is me plus 2 audience members that I pull from the audience who have never done improv before, or they have to agree to take like a very quick lesson that I give them on stage in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. So we are pulling the curtain back and explaining how we do it, which I think makes it easier for them, but it also makes it more challenging to surprise the audience when they know how we're doing it. But I dig that challenge. I get 2 people who have never done improv before, and in a perfect world that I also have never met.
Right.
Been a couple times where I get 2 friends. It's actually more difficult because the friends will have we'll try to do insider stuff. But I get them on stage. I give them. I ask them to do. I give them three tips. The first tip is just go with it. Like, whatever the thing is, just go with it. If I say sorry, I'm late, doctor, then you're a doctor and I'm late. Just go with it. Which I have found is an easier thing to spring on someone than the concept of yes and.
Yeah.
So I say, just go with it. 2, I say, don't worry about trying too hard. The stakes are low for you right now. The audience is like they're on your side already. Like, aren't you on their side? And so just have fun and don't try too hard. If you go out of your way to be extra funny, this will be more challenging. And when you get that first laugh, but after not trying hard, right, you'll get it. So be patient. Got that? And then the third thing I tell them is the scenes will be edited by the lights dropping. Because I also think that sweep editing, for those listening, when someone runs across the stage and then a new scene starts, I think that can be a little bit of a mind fuck for someone who has never done it before. So I just say, like, you know what? We're not going to sweep edit. So I have a light booth person just pull lights after every scene, and they can control, like, they're like the unofficial 4th member of the show, because they can. I'm like, if you want to do a 30-second scene, do it. If you want to keep us on stage for 5 minutes because we're killing, do it. And that's it. And then we just do it. And I think it works because I think I really enjoy doing comedy with people who've never done it before. I enjoy the challenge. I think it's pure as fuck. I think there